Good. So today we're going to be diving into the analytics and benchmarking capabilities of MDaudit. Let's start out with some introductions. My name is Cheryl, and I'm the Director of Communications, and I'm joined today by Dana Finnegan, Product Expert at MDaudit. We only have about 30 minutes together, so if you like what you see today, want to see more, we encourage you to request a custom demonstration using either the chat window or requesting it on our website. Before we show you the platform itself, I'd like to tell you a little bit more about how it works. MDaudit is a modular solution, so you can choose which components of the platform make the most sense for your business. MDaudit Enterprise ingests your pre-bill or post-bill claims and remit data automatically, and it can use data from both providers and hospitals. Once it's ingested, it's used for a few different functions. The auditing workflow is the main engine and provides workflow solutions for auditors, billing compliance, and HIM. These workflows allow staff to audit E&M charges, inpatient services, coder performance, assess risk, and create overviews of the organizations. Can do both prospective and retrospective audits. Charge Analyzer provides insights and anomaly detection through dashboards and reports that allow all the departments using MDaudit to provide advanced analytics and feedback to the providers and coders to help improve documentation. Our Revenue Optimizer focuses on providing denial insights and identifying opportunities to avoid future denials. And we just recently added an external audit workflow, which allows you to manage third-party requests from commercial payers and government entities such as RACs. And the goal of the platform is to identify anomalies and problems, streamline your processes, and provide the reporting and insights to educate and enable corrective action, all leading to a healthier revenue cycle. MDaudit Enterprise impacts the revenue cycle in a few places. It enables prospective auditing to allow auditors to catch billing or coding errors before the claim is submitted, which helps speed up reimbursement and improve your cash flow. You can use MDaudit to gain insights into the reasons for denials, allowing you to avoid them moving forward. The retrospective auditing tools allow you to take a risk-intelligent approach to auditing to be more effective and efficient. And most importantly, MDaudit allows you to identify areas of compliance and revenue risk and provide the tools to help educate so you can enable improvement moving forward. And the last thing I want to mention before we look at the product is the technology platform. We are data experts, which means not only do we know how to get the data you need quickly, we're also able to do it securely. Users of MDaudit no longer need to wait for files to be pulled. The data is automatically ingested regularly. It can be used for both provider and hospital data, and with our optimized cloud-based technology, you're able to access it instantly and securely. But you don't just have to take our word for it. MDaudit Enterprise is high trust certified, proving that we have met key regulation and industry-defined requirements. So let's dive in.
Thanks, Cheryl. I am just going to pull up my screen. Okay, folks, thanks for coming today. We're really excited to have the opportunity to show this to you. As Cheryl said, we're going to specifically concentrate on our analytics and benchmarking. Before I get in there, I just want to speak a little bit as to why we've chosen this topic. So really, we want to provide folks through our platform really the visibility they need to be productive, to be operationally efficient, but most importantly, to be able to mitigate risks and maximize revenues at the same time. So really, we consider ourselves a best-in-class billing compliance and revenue integrity platform that can bring your programs to the next level. So that's what I want to show you today with some of our capabilities. And I'm going to start here specifically with some analytics and benchmarking. We're going to start off with our E&M outliers bubble chart. And really, I want you to think of this as, really a way for us to help you support a risk-based auditing approach. What we have the ability to do here and what you're seeing is once we were to ingest your provider's billing data, we could spread them across this continuum. And what our platform is able to do is say anyone on that lower left-hand side are most likely your habitual undercoders, leaving that revenue on the table. And up on the right-hand side, those that are habitually overcoding and exposing your organization to risk. And your providers in the middle are the ones that are in that sweet spot of coding appropriately. So we want to be able to clear out all the noise for you and allow you to concentrate on those providers that that you really need to educate and focus on. So the first thing you're going to do here is put in an E&M category. And they're all in here. I'm just going to choose established patient. We're then going to have you choose a classification. And this is going to represent all of those different specialties that are billing out of your organization. Let's put in internal medicine. And then as I also want to get as granular as the subspecialty, could that be gastro? Could it be hem-onc? Let's try interventional cardiology. What it now does is it allows you to just have an immediate focus on not all of your providers, because some of them are doing the right things and not causing any pain. But for that specialty, I now know, let me talk to this provider for undercoding. And it looks like I should definitely throw a project in interventional cardiology at some of my overcoding that's going on, because that's what we're seeing up here, a cluster of overcoding. So now you're going to want to dive deeper in that. You're going to want to have those conversations with your providers. So you can click on any of these bubbles and then easily navigate from that provider's bubble chart to their bell curve. And these can be really powerful visuals that you can print out and show to them, or you can, meet with them virtually and say, hey, Dr. Smith, 94% of every single bill that you're sending out the door, almost 100% of them are going out as a level 4. That's you here, Dr. Smith. This line here, this represents everybody else in your department. They're only doing that 73% of the time. And this blue in the back is our benchmark. It's representing CMS, what CMS considers normal E&M leveling patterns for that specialty. So right away, you're able to say, this is where you are with the normative ranges. Here are your peers in your same specialty, and this is what CMS considers normal. So he or she is quite off the kind of the path opposed to her peers in CMS. So that's a very powerful benchmark. You can see here, we also offer another equally powerful, if not more powerful benchmark, which is the MDaudit community. The MDaudit community allows you to compare, again, your outlying provider, not only to his or her peers, but to that MDaudit community. And that MDaudit community is where you compare your docs to all of the other docs that are being audited on our platform by specialty. And we update our data on a daily basis. So you're really able to see the spikes and lulls in your providers' behaviors. And really what you're seeing here is your provider still at 94%, his or her peers still at 73%. And the MDaudit community says 66%. I think when it was CMS, it was 63%. But really what we're getting out of this is that provider is outside of normative ranges and needs to be audited. So what we do through what you've seen so far is point out risk for overcoding and undercoding, provide the really powerful visuals to help with those corrective action conversations, letting that provider know, we are looking at really powerful benchmarks. We're not just pulling this data from kind of out of the air. We're putting you in certain categories that are really great for comparative reasons. But the final bow that goes around all of this is we're going to take all of your providers that are at risk and put them on what's called a risk areas dashboard. And what the risk areas dashboard does, again, on a daily basis, is it will take all of your suspected overcoders and undercoders and place them here. Also let you know what specialty they're in. It also will weight them. So if you come here and have 30 providers or 50 providers that are at risk, but only the bandwidth to see the top 10, we're going to want you to see the 6s first and the 3s and 2s and 1s last. As a quick illustration, this is Dr. Smith. He's in urology, very high weight. You can look at his information card. It's actually going to show the code or codes he's struggling with, like the level 4, that he's overbilling those services compared to those benchmarks we spoke about, and giving you some really great insights into the amount of charges that have gone out to his respective payer mix, because that's obviously a sign of risk. And that he's actually 2.0 standard deviations over those normative benchmark means. And finally, we also allow you right from here to create an audit. This will launch you right back into a workflow that will allow you to immediately pull a random sample of claims for Dr. Smith, so you can go in and really make an informed decision as to why that overcoding or undercoding is going on. So we will give you not only this analytics approach and benchmarking to focus your risk, but give you immediate access to those claims. They all live within our platform, so you don't have to lose any productivity and go back into the billing system and grab claims manually. You can do it all under one roof. So just wanted to kind of let you see that, you know, from certain analytics and benchmarking, we can make your life easier and give you a focused risk-based approach, not only to gain revenue, but to mitigate that risk. That's a very pro-fee focused example, but MDaudit Enterprise also is very good in understanding the inpatient and outpatient nuances going on, your facility inpatient and outpatient billing. So what you're seeing here is a metrics dashboard. And I know it's a lot to take in at first glance, but what we really do here is we build in a lot of content. So right out of the box, as soon as you plug in our platform, we have content built for what the racks are scrutinizing. The PEPR report is built in there. KPI metrics is what is the OIG scrutinizing, and many other things that you really think about as part of your auditing program. And here's how the analytics work on that facility inpatient outpatient side is, let's take this PEPR metric. We're out in the field all the time and we hear that you get your PEPR reports, but they're sporadic. And by the time you can even look at them, they're old. This platform, MDaudit Enterprise, we look at your inpatient outpatient data on a daily basis. And for example, what we've noticed here, and we could do the same with your data, is look, you've been billing surgical debridements. That's the PEPR metric. And we know you've been doing that about 30% of the time. We can look at your data and say that's about 30% of the time you're doing those surgical debridements out of a certain facility or a certain specialty, whatever it may be. But over the last 12 months rolling average, you've gone down from 30% to 10%. That's a dramatic decrease in that providing that surgical procedure. But then that benchmark that we talked about, that MDaudit community, they're doing that. The same type of organizations, just like you, doing the same type of surgical procedures. They're doing that 41% of the time. So this will show up on your dashboard in kind of a, I guess you call it a scary red color, because we want you to notice it. It's an alert to say, look, that decrease, that could be a coding issue, could be a documentation issue, and it could definitely be revenue leakage. It's something you need to audit and really look at these analytics. So what you can do is really just drill down and explore and say, what primary payer is involved? And maybe it's just Medicare, or maybe there's many, or who's the attending provider? And it looks here like for both the payer and the attending provider, it's the same payer, same provider. That's kind of a scary thing. But it allows you to focus your effort. And what you're able to do is go in and find all of those affected surgical debridement claims, and you can click them off and again, create an audit. This will again launch you back into a workflow that gives you a centralized repository to review the documentation as well as these claims to figure out, why did we do so many less of these when we're used to doing so many more? The analytics will show you if you want to sort by high dollar charges, or maybe $0 payments, or maybe certain payers or providers. But again, what we want you to take away from this is, whether you're a pro fee billing shop, auditing shop, or facility inpatient, outpatient, or all of the above, there's going to be some really powerful analytics that are going to drive you to focus your efforts to where they need to be. Some things you may not even know are kind of going off the rails a little bit. Couple of other things that I want to show in terms of analytics is, let's go here. So you'll see we have this for pro fee, inpatient, outpatient. Let's look at pro fee. When you're using a technology to do audits, pro-fee audits, facility inpatient and outpatient audits, coder audits. You're going to want that platform to really run some intelligence over all of your audit activity and provide you with some insights. And that's what we're doing here, Audit Insights. That's why we've called it that. And really what Audit Insights is doing is it's going to look at all of your audit activity and say, here's your top 10 E&M codes that you're disagreeing with. Level 3, level 4, level 2, level 04. And it's going to also show you all the reasons why you're disagreeing. But what's nice is you may come here and say, well, the lion's share of these, as I hover over this, look like they've been overcoded one level. But then you can very easily drill down and say, well, let me see the rendering provider group. Is it one group? Is it many groups? And when I say rendering provider group, that's specialty. So you right away can see 99.9% of those overcoding issues were with this specialty. You know, there were others that had issues, but this is the one that's been causing the most amount of pain. You can then drill down from the rendering provider group to the rendering provider name. And within that group, see if there's one, and it looks like you've got a lot of work to do with these 3 docs. So whether it's E&M issues, here's 10 missed procedures. Again, we talked about you need a platform that can bring together the billing compliance, but also the ability to maximize revenue. This is showing where when you've gone in, you found procedures that are well documented but not billed. That's revenue leakage. So you can report this back to your rev integrity folks and say, these are things that were well documented but never billed, like the 72110. I think that's a radiology procedure. They were going to say, okay, great. Where did it originate? And you can say, well, you need to go and speak to Dr. Smith right here. He's responsible for most of that volume. He's in radiology. So whether it's E&M codes, missed procedures, CPTs with overpayments and underpayments by rendering provider group and name, even those with modifier issues, you're going to want to go in and understand what you're unearthing, and past that and educate not only the providers causing those issues, but maybe the coders that are coding for those procedures, in the folks in those departments that can really bring about that change management that needs to take place. So the next time you're doing audits, you're not finding as much that's going wrong. Those are some very, I would say, weeds level insights, but one of the things that we also like to provide is executive level insights. So we often hear from our field that you need analytics of what you're unearthing in your audit program and your program and revenue integrity programs, but you want something that you can report up to the executives, the CCO, the CFO, the VP of Rev Cycle. So other things we're able to do is also look at very specific things like, here's your monthly E&M accuracy. And green means that you're agreeing. So you've got a lot of green, that's really good. But where you start to see those encroachments and, levels of accuracy, you're going to want to, again, drill down. It looks like 10% of these have been overcoded and 3% were non-billable in the first place and 7% was undercoded. Again, ability to drill down immediately to root cause. And the most important thing we're hearing is, okay, E&M's for one thing, but what about procedures? Procedures is where the money is. And you're very easily able to look at what you've called missed revenue in orange and say, here's missed revenue. This is exactly where I need to go. It's this specialty that's missing revenue on a regular basis. And I need to go and have that conversation with this specialty. So it's not only giving you insights that you can operationalize really quickly by having a provider conversation, but it's also allowing you to report out to the highest levels of your organization as to how things look. And these insights are important because you cannot rely on a billing system for this type of data. The billing systems are more transactional, but they don't act as an analytical brain that, again, can bring your program to the next level. Just for those folks, because we hear this a lot, hey, I do the inpatient or outpatient side of the world. The same analytics and benchmarking that we're talking about through Audit Insights are available on that side of the house too. So if you want to see your top 10 DRGs that you're having an issue with, or DRGs experiencing the most overpayments and underpayments, we're able to show that to you as well. And in this case, you may want to drill down to, what facility is that? Maybe what attending provider is that? But maybe for you folks, even more importantly, is what coder. We know your coders are coding those hard inpatient cases and those outpatient ASC cases. You're going to not need to know the provider so much. You're going to need to know the coder, and you're able to drill down to coder name as well. So giving you, again, all of the analytics and insights to focus future efforts. So one last thing I want to kind of lead is everything we've talked about so far has been very charge related, claims related, but we're hearing a big shift with our billing compliance folks and our revenue integrity folks as I'm becoming very responsible for my denials, what's happening in denials. So let's go there. You're going to need to have denial analytics as well to help you understand what's going wrong and how can I fix it, especially things that may fall under your purview, like coding related denials and bundling and medical necessity and clinically not medically necessary issues. So let's do a quick drill down. We're going to show here's my denial amount by functional area over the last 12 months. So it's kind of showing you a 12-month rolling period, but maybe you care about credentialing. But maybe you care about patient financial services and authorizations. But for this group, we're going to hit coding. Whatever part of the revenue integrity, revenue cycle continuum you're on, this can help you, but we're going to use this example. So the analytics here are saying, look, you're doing really great with coding related denials, but then you're seeing an upward spike, you go down again. But what's nice is, because these are produced daily, you can find it at this time. You can see it going up. And right here, we know they're responsible for coding related denials. So that's kind of a daunting category. That can be a lot. So let's drill down. Coding could be a million things. You're going to want to know, what are the reasons? What are the reasons for coding issues? I'm going to type in reason, and you've got a few, but the number one by far is non-covered services because it's not deemed a medical necessity by the payer. That is exactly in your wheelhouse. So now you know you've got a coding issue, it's medical necessity. Next logical one would be, what is the payer that is dinging me the most? So I'm going to type in payer, and it's going to say, yeah, there's a bunch of them, but this is the person I'm worried most about. So now you know immediately coding, medical necessity. It looks like maybe Cigna. And then you can drill down and say, okay, is there a certain rendering provider by name or group? Let's look at specialty. And yeah, there's a bunch, but this specialty, let's call it, general medicine or vascular surgery, they're having a major medical necessity problem with Cigna. Now you're also going to want to know, what are the CPTs? Or maybe, you're on the other side of the house, you want to know DRGs. I'm going to put in CPT and look at the codes. And really right away, it's telling me for that specialty, it's these codes, but I've got to worry about the 99214 and then the 90746. And again, if you really want to jump into it, you can see this by account number and help re-adjudicate claims. But what we're trying to show you is there's going to be a great ability to be able to come into this platform at least and understand, even from a denial perspective, where you're having leakage. It's a great place where billing compliance can work, as well as revenue integrity, break down those silos and work together using the same data source. And I'm going to scroll down just to show you that, people historically think of denials as something revenue cycle handles. But if we're showing you dashboards of primary diagnoses in an office place of setting denials, or primary diagnoses in an outpatient setting, and revenue codes that are denying, these are things that fall under your purview, and you don't want revenue cycle walking across the hall and saying, why didn't you know that there was such a problem with this revenue code? You're going to be able to see this and act upon it immediately, so it's not being something that's brought up to your surprise. So folks, really what we wanted you to take away from this today is we know that you're you've got sometimes a lack of resources. We know when you're trying to fill FTEs on your billing compliance and auditing teams, it's really hard to find the right folks. So technology is something that can really help you fill some of those gaps and really help you work in a more confident, focused way, and really allow you to kind of work. I know it's kind of cliche, but work smarter and not harder through technology, analytics, in benchmarking. So there's a lot more we could show. That's a very high level of what we can do to help, but we hope you may want to come back and see more. So I'm going to stop right here and turn this over to Cheryl, because I know we're getting some questions, but I wanted to thank you for your time, and hopefully you enjoyed what you saw today.
Thank you so much. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. If you do have questions using your Zoom toolbar, you should see a question button. You can click on that, type your question in, and send it in to us, and we will get to as many questions as we can. Again, we will send you a copy of this recording later today or first thing in the morning, so you'll have that to either review yourself or share with colleagues if there's others on your team who want to take a look at it. And let's see what we've got for questions. Dana, how often is the data updated?
Great question. I was on mute. We are able to take in claims data, and we can take in, I didn't mention this, but we can also bring in pre-bill data as well. So if you're a purely prospective shop, this works as well. But to answer the question, daily. So we're one of the, I feel, just based on our research, we're the only software vendor that can bring claims in on a daily basis, crunch them, and provide you these analytics. So it is daily. So you're always getting the vantage point of the kind of latest and greatest issues that you need to tackle.
Great. Let's see. Can you run analytics on specialty practices such as dermatology or ophthalmology?
Yes, I kind of blew past the section where I put in a specialty, but you know, whether you're a large academic medical center that has many different specialties, or maybe you're just a large or smaller dermatology practice, or ophthalmology, orthopedics, all of this data will work the same, because think of it, you're sending us your claims. That's how this all works, claims data. So we'll specifically look at your specialty practice, whether it's derm, orthopedics, and we'll compare you to others in our cohort or MDaudit community doing that same billing. So yeah, we absolutely cater to large and small specialty practices as well.
Great. Let's see, here's another one. Does E&M analytics apply to non-MDs as well?
Yeah, it does. So, and that's a good question as well. So we know you have a lot of advanced practitioners, someone that just doesn't have an MD title, but, you know, nurse practitioners, PAs, et cetera. So we have, again, because they're credentialed and because they have an NPI number and because they bill claims, we can run analytics on your non-MD practitioners as well and let you know if they're in or outside of normative ranges.
Great. And let's see, I think I've got one more. Can physicians access MDaudit to learn about their own billing patterns?
Yeah, they definitely can. The model we usually see is the auditors and billing compliance folks using these analytics to then meet with the providers, show them the visualizations. But those providers, we do have providers that are just really interested in the business side of it, that want to come in and look at, you know, their patterns, and maybe they're a chief medical officer. We see that happening sometimes, that they're in charge of seeing how the providers under them are doing, bell curves, et cetera. So they have every ability to access the platform as well.
Great. And I don't see any more questions, and we are at time. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. If you do have any more questions, please reach out to us. Like I said, you'll be getting an email with a recording. You could even just reply back to that email, and we'll get you connected to Dana so you can ask any questions you have or talk with one of our sales experts. So thank you, and I hope everybody has a great day.
Thank you.